Ladies and gentlemen, everybody wants success, but very few are willing to pay its price. See, your desires are what ignite your dreams, but discipline is what makes those dreams real. Desire says, I want it. Discipline says, I'll do what it takes. Most people are waiting for the motivation to start, but motivation is emotional. Discipline is intentional. Motivation is like a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps you warm when the world gets cold. Everybody wants success, but very few are willing to pay its price. Desire is cheap. Discipline is expensive. Anybody can dream. Anybody can talk about what they want, but only a disciplined person is willing to do the uncomfortable, unexciting and unseen work that turns that dream into destiny. See, desire will get you started, but discipline will keep you going when the feelings fade. Desire whispers, I wish I could. Discipline declares, I will, no matter what. Every single one of us has a vision in our heart, something we know we were created to do, something that stirs our spirit when we think about it. But between that vision and its manifestation stands a bridge, and that bridge is self-discipline. You can't cross from average to extraordinary without walking across that bridge. That's why people who chase motivation often burn out. Motivation is like a spark. It gives you energy in the moment, but if you don't feed it with consistent action, it dies. Discipline, on the other hand, is a steady fire. It doesn't always roar, but it never goes out. Most people think they need more inspiration, when what they really need is more consistency. You don't need another motivational video. You need to keep your word to yourself. Every time you make a promise to yourself and break it, you weaken your belief in your own power. But every time you keep that promise, even in small things, you strengthen your identity as a disciplined person. Self-discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build brick by brick, action by action, decision by decision. When you wake up early, even when your bed feels like heaven, when you work on your goals instead of scrolling through distractions, when you stay focused on your purpose instead of chasing pleasure, that's how you build discipline. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's quiet repetition. It's doing what's right when no one is watching. The world claps for achievement, but it never sees the discipline that made achievement possible. People will see the results later and call it luck. But the truth is, luck is just discipline meeting opportunity. Your destiny isn't shaped by one big moment. It's shaped by 1,000 small ones. The small decisions you make when no one is looking determine the kind of life you'll live when everyone is watching. Discipline is what turns your potential into performance. It's what separates people talk from people who do. You can desire all you want, but if your daily behavior doesn't match your desired outcome, you're just wishing for a miracle you refuse to work for. The challenge with discipline is that it doesn't feel good in the moment. It demands sacrifice. It demands saying no to easy pleasures and yes to long-term rewards. That's why most people settle for average, because average is comfortable. Discipline will always make you uncomfortable. But that discomfort is the birthplace of greatness. Every champion you admire has learned to do what they didn't feel like doing. They've trained their mind to follow purpose instead of feelings, because feelings are temporary, purpose is eternal. You don't need to feel disciplined to act disciplined. Action creates feeling. The moment you act, you shift your state. Discipline isn't about waiting until you feel ready. It's about acting your way into readiness. If you wait for the right time, you'll waste your whole life waiting. Start where you are with what you have and do what you can. That's discipline. People often ask how to stay motivated, but the truth is you don't. No one stays motivated all the time. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't motivation, it's structure. It's having a system that forces you to show up even when you don't feel like it. The gym, the business, the studying, the prayer, the practice discipline makes you show up. And every time you show up, you strengthen your will. The will to win is worthless without the will to work. Desire will give you direction, but discipline gives you drive. You can have a map, but if you never start the engine, you'll stay stuck in the same place. Discipline is the engine that moves you forward when your emotions tell you to quit. It's the voice inside that says, keep going because your destiny depends on it. You won't always see immediate results, but every day of disciplined effort compounds like interest in a bank. You won't notice much at first, but one day you'll wake up and realize that your discipline has turned into destiny. When you make discipline your lifestyle, not just your habit, you stop negotiating with excuses. You stop arguing with your goals. You stop needing permission to do what you already know you're supposed to do. You stop relying on hype and start relying on honor, the honor of keeping your commitments, the honor of respecting your potential, the honor of not quitting when it's hard. Discipline is what gives ordinary people the power to create extraordinary results. It's not glamorous, but it's the difference between wishing for success and walking in it. Discipline begins in the mind long before it shows up in your actions. You can't change your life until you change the way you think. Most people try to manage their time without first managing their thoughts, And that's why they stay trapped in cycles of frustration. You can have the best plan or the perfect schedule or the most advanced productivity system, but if your mind is undisciplined, your life will always follow the same pattern of distraction. The truth is, your thoughts are the architects of your habits, and your habits are the builders of your destiny. You can't build a palace with a poverty mindset, and you can't live in excellence if your thoughts are full of excuses. Every action begins as a thought. Before you move, you think. Before you quit, you think. Before you win, you think. The mind is the command center, and discipline starts with training that command center to obey purpose, not feelings. Most people are slaves to their emotions. They let their moods determine their moves. They wake up and decide what kind of day they'll have based on how they feel instead of what they've chosen. But discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It reminds you of what you decided. Feelings are temporary, but decisions create direction. You have to master your mind before you can manage your time, because your time follows your attention. Wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. And whatever has your energy will produce your results. If your attention is scattered between distractions, your results will be scattered too. Discipline means deciding where your focus belongs and refusing to rent that focus out to things that don't pay you back. Every notification, every temptation, every moment of laziness is trying to steal your focus. You have to guard it like a treasure because it is one. Your attention is the currency of your destiny. Spend it wisely. There are people who keep saying they don't have enough time, but the problem isn't time, it's priorities. You'll always find time for what matters most to you. The question isn't whether you have enough hours in a day. It's whether you have enough discipline in your decisions. A disciplined mind doesn't waste energy on what doesn't move it forward. It doesn't overthink, it doesn't dwell on failure, and it doesn't chase validation. It's focused, clear, and intentional. When your mind says, I'm tired, discipline replies, we're not done yet. When your comfort says, take a break, discipline whispers, stay the course. Every time you push through the resistance in your mind, you strengthen the muscle of discipline. The mind is like a wild horse. If you don't control it, it will throw you off course. But once you train it, it can carry you farther than you ever imagined. The key is repetition. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you're rewiring your brain for excellence. The battle for your future isn't happening outside you. It's happening inside your head. Thoughts of doubt, fear, procrastination, and comfort are all fighting for control of your next move. If your mind wins, your life wins. That's why discipline is more mental than physical. Success doesn't belong to the smartest person or even the most talented person. It belongs to the one who masters their inner dialogue. You can't speak defeat all day and expect to live in victory. You can't feed your mind with negativity and expect it to produce productivity. You have to speak life, speak strength, and speak focus into your thoughts until your actions start to follow. There's a difference between interest and commitment. Interest works when it's convenient. Commitment works even when it's not. A disciplined mind doesn't entertain distractions just because they're easy. It doesn't need to feel ready to start. It just starts. It understands that every moment spent overthinking is a moment lost to progress. Your mind is the steering wheel of your life, and if you don't take control of it, someone else will. The world is full of voices trying to tell you who you are, what you can't do, and what you should settle for. Discipline is the filter that keeps those voices out. It reminds you who you are and what you were made for. You'll never be able to control everything that happens around you, but you can always control what happens within you. The mind that's disciplined doesn't react. It responds. It doesn't let circumstances dictate its peace. It doesn't let problems dictate its pace. It keeps its focus fixed on purpose, no matter what's happening in the environment. That's the real power of self-discipline, not controlling others, but controlling yourself. Mastering your mind means setting standards for your thoughts the same way you set goals for your actions. You can't allow every thought to stay. You have to evict the ones that don't serve your vision. You have to starve your doubts and feed your faith. A disciplined person guards their mind like a king guards his throne. They understand that what enters their mind eventually enters their life. When your thoughts become ordered, your time becomes effective. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop chasing deadlines and start designing destiny. You become intentional about every decision, every conversation, every hour. Discipline is mental clarity in motion. It's living by design, not by default. It's controlling the narrative in your head until that narrative becomes your new normal. If you want to know where your life is going, look at what you do every single day. Your routine is a mirror that reflects your reality. Discipline is not built through one big decision, but through 1,000 small choices that repeat over time. People love to talk about goals, but goals mean nothing without habits that support them. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your discipline. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is hidden in what you do repeatedly when no one is watching. Every successful person has built a routine that serves their purpose. They've structured their days around actions that move them forward, not activities that waste time. Most people underestimate how powerful their daily routine is because it looks ordinary, but small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary outcomes. You don't notice the progress at first because the results are invisible, but consistency always compounds. One day of effort doesn't change much, but 100 days of discipline transforms everything. The problem is that most people quit before that compounding begins. They stop showing up when they don't see immediate reward, not realizing that discipline is planting seeds that bloom later. The truth is, your habits tell the truth about your priorities. You can say you want success, but your schedule will reveal what you really value. If your daily actions don't align with your goals are just wishes. It's not what you occasionally do that shapes your destiny. It's what you do consistently. The gym once a month doesn't change your body. Reading one book a year doesn't change your mind. Saving money once doesn't create wealth. Discipline's about showing up daily, even when you don't feel like it, even when progress seems invisible, even when nobody claps. Because it's in the repetition that greatness is formed. You don't have to do massive things every day. You just have to do the right things consistently. The person who walks 1 mile every day will go farther in a year than the person who runs 10 miles once a month. That's the power of rhythm, sustains results. When you build the right rhythm, discipline becomes automatic. It's no longer about forcing yourself to do something. It becomes part of who you are. You don't have to remind yourself to breathe, and a disciplined person doesn't have to remind themselves to grow. Growth becomes natural because they've built it into their daily flow. Every great success story begins with a routine. Champions train daily, leaders learn daily, entrepreneurs plan daily. They understand that success is not an event. It's a rhythm. They don't chase excitement. They chase consistency. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence, because persistence is the proof of belief. When you believe in your purpose, you keep showing up for it. You keep doing the work even when nobody notices, even when you feel like it's not working, even when it hurts. The routine may feel repetitive, but that repetition is what separates the disciplined from the distracted. Your future doesn't start next year, next month, or next week. It starts today. What you do today determines who you become tomorrow. Every time you repeat an action, you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to be. If you show up disciplined, you're voting for success. If you show up lazy, you're voting for mediocrity. The universe doesn't respond to what you wish for. It responds to what you work for. Discipline is the silent evidence that you believe in your own future enough to prepare for it daily. It's easy to underestimate small habits because they don't feel important in the moment. Skipping one workout, spending 1 hour scrolling, missing 1 day of reading, it seems harmless. But habits compound both ways. Small neglects build the same way small disciplines build success. The person who ignores their routine for a week doesn't fall immediately, but slowly their focus weakens, their motivation fades, and their purpose gets buried under inconsistency. That's why discipline must be daily. It's not something you do when it's convenient. It's something you live by. The reason routine matters so much is because it protects your purpose from distraction. Life is full of noise. There will always be something pulling at your attention, trying to slow your momentum. A disciplined routine keeps you anchored when the world gets chaotic. It keeps your mind focused, your energy directed, and your progress measurable. It gives you structure when emotions are unstable. People who lack routine are constantly reacting to life, but people who have routine create life. They are not controlled by time. They control how time serves them. The beauty of discipline is that it eventually rewards you with freedom. The more structured your habits become, the more control you have over your results. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you want, but real freedom is being able to do what's necessary without resistance. That's the kind of freedom a disciplined routine creates. You become consistent not because you have to, but because it's who you are. There will be days when the routine feels boring, when progress feels slow, and when results seem invisible. But every repetition is building something inside you. It's training your character, your endurance, your patience, and your power. Discipline isn't about doing it once. It's about doing it until it becomes natural. And once it becomes natural, the life you once dreamed about becomes the life you live every day. Discipline will always come with pain, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something that stretches you beyond what's comfortable. Growth and pain live in the same neighborhood. Every time you choose discipline, you're choosing to leave behind who you were to become who you're meant to be. That process hurts. It hurts to break habits that used to comfort you. It hurts to silence excuses that once justified your limitations. It hurts to do hard things when easy options are everywhere. But that pain is not punishment. It's the price of progress. The only difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck is that one learns to embrace the pain while the other runs from it. People say they want success, but they want it without the struggle. They want the reward without the resistance. They want the victory without the vulnerability. But discipline doesn't work like that. The road to transformation is paved with discomfort. Every step forward comes with a test of endurance. Every new level demands a stronger version of you. You can't expect to walk into greatness carrying the same comfort habits that kept you average. Pain is not the enemy, it's the evidence that you're evolving. When your muscles burn after a workout, it means they're getting stronger. When your mind resists a new challenge, it means it's expanding. The same principle applies to life. Pain is a sign of progress if you learn to interpret it correctly. Most people quit too early because they misread the pain. They think struggle means stop, but struggle means grow. It means something is shifting. It means your body, your mind, your habits are being reshaped. Growth always costs something. You have to trade your comfort for capacity. You have to trade your ease for excellence. You have to give up the temporary relief of quitting for the permanent reward of progress. Every time you choose to push through the pain, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your circumstances. Every time you refuse to quit, you build mental toughness that money can't buy. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent or intelligence, it's pain tolerance. Successful people have simply learned how to suffer better. They understand that discomfort is temporary, but quitting makes it permanent. They use pain as information, not intimidation. When it hurts, they don't say, "This is too much." They say, "This means I'm close." The closer you get to a breakthrough, the heavier the pressure becomes. That's why most people never see their full potential. They turn back right before the breakthrough. The pain was not meant to stop you. It was meant to shape you. Discipline hurts because it forces you to confront yourself. It exposes your excuses. It challenges your patterns. It reveals where you've been settling. That's why it's easier to blame others or circumstances than to face the truth. Growth requires honesty. You can't heal what you hide. When you start holding yourself accountable, when you stop lying to yourself about why you're not consistent, the pain intensifies because truth strips away comfort. But it's that same truth that sets you free. Freedom doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from mastering it. Pain also builds appreciation. When you've suffered for something, you value it differently. The person who's worked through sleepless nights, sacrifice, rejection, and doubt will always protect what they've built. They won't take it for granted because they paid the price for it. Pain gives meaning to the reward. It gives depth to your discipline. It transforms results from something you achieved into something you earned. Every scar tells a story of a moment you refused to give up. Every moment of pain becomes proof of your perseverance. Discipline demands that you get comfortable being uncomfortable. It demands that you stop chasing feelings and start chasing purpose. Most people want to feel good before they act, but the discipline act first and let the feelings follow. You can't wait for the right mood to do the right thing. The pain you feel today is the preparation for the power you'll have tomorrow. Every moment of resistance is a moment of building strength you'll need later. You can't pray for growth and expect it to come wrapped in comfort. Growth always comes disguised as challenge. There will be times when it feels like the pain is breaking you, but what's really happening is that it's building you. It's breaking off laziness, breaking off doubt, breaking off fear, breaking off everything that can't go with you to your next level. The discomfort is refining you. Diamonds are made under pressure, gold is purified in fire, and discipline is formed through struggle. You can't have resilience without resistance. You can't have strength without strain. The pain you endure today becomes the power you carry tomorrow. When you begin to view pain as a partner instead of an enemy, your whole perspective changes. You stop running from challenges and start running toward them. You stop avoiding what's hard and start embracing it as the training ground for your next victory. Pain teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches gratitude. It reminds you that every blessing you receive is connected to the struggle you overcame. The weight you're carrying is not there to crush you. It's there to condition you. The pain of discipline always weighs less than the pain of regret, and those who choose the first never have to live with the second. Discipline grows best in the soil of accountability. You can't reach your highest potential in isolation because growth was never designed to happen alone. Accountability is the mirror that shows you the truth when your emotions try to hide it. It's the voice that speaks up when your excuses get loud. When you surround yourself with people who hold you to a higher standard, you automatically elevate. The environment you place yourself in will either feed your discipline or feed your distraction. That's why you must be intentional about the company you keep. If you spend your time around people who settle, you'll start believing that settling is normal. But if you walk with people who demand greatness from themselves, they'll demand the same from you. The power of accountability lies in the fact that it removes the option of hiding. When you're accountable, your goals are no longer private wishes, they become public commitments. Accountability turns your intentions into obligations. It forces you to follow through even when motivation disappears. It's easy to quit when no one knows what you promised yourself. But when someone is watching, when someone is checking on your progress, when someone is reminding you of who you said you'd be, quitting becomes uncomfortable. Accountability makes your standards louder than your excuses. You can't build consistency without accountability because human nature will always drift toward comfort. Left alone, we negotiate with laziness. We justify procrastination. We make peace with mediocrity. Accountability interrupts that pattern. It brings correction before collapse. It's not about control, it's about care. When someone holds you accountable, they're not trying to limit you. They're trying to liberate you from your lower self. They see the version of you that you sometimes forget exists. They challenge you to show up for that version. The truth is, we all need people who won't let us stay the same, people who are not impressed by our potential, but committed to our progress. Accountability isn't always comfortable because it confronts you. It exposes where you're inconsistent. It highlights the gap between what you say and what you do. But confrontation is the birthplace of transformation. Without it, you stay trapped in your old patterns. A real accountability partner doesn't tell you what you want to hear. They tell you what you need to hear. They love you enough to offend you with truth. Discipline thrives when accountability is consistent. It's not enough to check in occasionally. You need constant feedback, constant reflection, constant alignment. Every time you report your progress, you create a cycle of reinforcement that strengthens your discipline. It's the same reason athletes have coaches and businesses have boards. Even the most self-motivated individuals understand that accountability creates precision. You may have drive, but accountability gives that drive direction. It ensures your energy is focused on execution, not just intention. There's a reason isolation feels easier. It protects your ego. When you're alone, no one can correct you. No one can call you out. No one can see when you've slipped. But that false safety is what kills growth. Accountability strips away the illusion of perfection. It forces you to face your weaknesses so they can be strengthened. It teaches humility because you have to admit that you don't have it all figured out. The moment you embrace accountability, you trade pride for progress. The disciplined understand that accountability is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. They know they can't see every blind spot. They value input from people who've walked further than they have. They welcome correction because they know correction saves time. Without accountability, you end up making the same mistakes longer than necessary. You keep repeating cycles because no one is there to interrupt them. Accountability shortens the distance between failure and improvement. It keeps you from drifting too far off course. Choose your accountability partners wisely. Not everyone deserves access to your process. You need people who are disciplined themselves, people who live what they preach. The undisciplined can't hold the disciplined accountable because they'll always lower the standard. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to rise, who don't allow you to settle for halfway done. If you hang around 5 consistent people, you'll become the 6th. If you hang around 5 excuse makers, you'll become the 6th. Proximity is power, and your environment shapes your execution. Accountability also builds integrity. When you know someone is counting on you, you become more intentional with your actions. You stop wasting time because you know your choices affect others. You begin to take your commitments seriously because you realize your discipline doesn't just impact your life, it impacts everyone connected to you. The people who depend on your consistency need you to be accountable. They need you to keep showing up. When accountability becomes part of your lifestyle, discipline becomes automatic. You stop waiting to feel like doing the right thing because your structure demands it. You stop fighting the same battles because you've built systems that keep you aligned. The weight of accountability transforms into the wings of consistency. What once felt like pressure begins to feel like protection. You no longer see accountability as someone watching over you, but as someone walking with you. It becomes a partnership and purpose, a bond built on truth, trust, and transformation. Discipline is not something that appears out of nowhere. It's a decision you make every single day. It's not a gift that some people are born with and others are not. It's a choice that's available to anyone who's willing to take responsibility for their future. Every morning, you wake up with 2 options. You can choose your comfort or you can choose your calling. One of them will satisfy you for a moment. The other will satisfy you for a lifetime. Discipline doesn't wait for the right time. It creates the right time. It doesn't wait for the perfect mood. It acts until the right mood shows up. The people who succeed are not those who always feel ready. They are those who made a firm decision that their purpose means more than their feelings. Feelings are fleeting. One day they tell you to move. The next they tell you to rest. If you allow your feelings to drive your life, you'll always end up stuck in the same place because feelings are inconsistent, but decisions create consistency. Discipline starts the moment you stop negotiating with your excuses. You can't grow while you're still arguing for your limitations. Every time you say, I'll do it later, you strengthen the voice of delay. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, you push your destiny one more day away. Discipline refuses to make deals with delay. It says, if not now, when? If not me, who? Success doesn't come from convenience. It comes from commitment. Commitment is a decision you make once, but discipline is the decision you renew every day. Commitment says, I will. Discipline says, I still will. When you decide to become disciplined, you sign a lifelong contract with consistency. You agree to show up whether you feel like it or not. You agree to push through the resistance instead of retreating to comfort. You agree to stop relying on motivation and start relying on maturity. Discipline is what turns commitment into character. There's power in deciding once and for all that quitting is no longer an option. As long as quitting is on the table, you'll always find a reason to reach for it. The mind finds ways to escape discomfort, but when the decision is final, your only option is to find a way forward. Discipline begins when decisions become non-negotiable. When your goals are not open for debate, when your standards are not up for discussion, when your actions are not dictated by emotion, that's when discipline starts working for you instead of against you. Most people live in indecision because they fear what consistency requires, but indecision drains more energy than discipline ever will. It's exhausting to start and stop, to plan and never execute, to want and never commit. Once you decide, peace follows because decision brings direction. The beauty of discipline is that it simplifies your life. Once you've decided who you are and what you're committed to, half the battles disappear. You no longer waste energy wondering if you should or shouldn't. You no longer debate with yourself over doing the right thing. You no longer need to feel inspired to act because the decision has already been made. Discipline frees you from confusion by creating clarity. The disciplined person doesn't ask, should I? They declare, I will. That mindset shifts everything. It transforms chaos into order, uncertainty into confidence, and wishful thinking into daily action. Every day, life will present distractions, delays, and detours, and discipline is the decision that keeps you centered in the midst of all of it. You can't control the conditions, but you can always control the commitment. You decide how you respond. You decide whether to keep moving forward or to stop and complain. Discipline doesn't remove challenges, but it ensures you outlast them. Decisions backed by discipline turn obstacles into opportunities. They transform problems into preparation. They make sure that nothing external has the power to stop what's internal. Discipline is also the cure for inconsistency. Most people are not inconsistent because they lack talent. They're inconsistent because they haven't truly decided. They keep one foot in commitment and one foot in comfort. They keep saying they want change, but keep doing what feels familiar. You can't build a new life with old habits. The decision to be disciplined is the line that separates who you've been from who you're becoming. Once you step over that line, there's no going back to excuses. You don't ask, can I anymore? You tell yourself, I must. When you make that shift, discipline stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like power. It's no longer something you fight against. It becomes something you stand on. It gives you stability in a world that's full of distraction and inconsistency. It becomes your anchor in storms, your structure in chaos, and your strength when motivation fades. Every great achievement, every fulfilled purpose, every successful story started with a decision that said, I will do whatever it takes. That's the essence of discipline, not waiting for inspiration, not hoping for convenience, but deciding once and for all that your purpose is worth the price and your destiny is worth the discomfort. Self-discipline is not about controlling yourself. It's about commanding your destiny. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's the invisible muscle that lifts your life higher than motivation ever could. So today, choose discipline. Choose to do what others won't so you can live the way others can't. Because your destiny is waiting and discipline is the key that unlocks the door.